Tom Malinowski, who himself recently lost in a primary, but he's your colleague in Congress, had a series of tweets in which he was critical, actually, of the leadership of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. I'll read you from some of that. He's talking about some of the unwillingness to criticize, for example, Daria-Lisa Chevalier, who won one of these primaries. He says, young Dems voted for Avila Chevalier not because they knew her, they didn't, but because leaders like Mamdani and Sanders embraced her. Those leaders could have chosen a serious progressive with non-insane views. They chose this. The result is the mirror image of MAGA. It doesn't matter if candidates are qualified or what their beliefs are. All that matters is that they're on the team backed by its leader. Anyone who questions that is slated for the next political destruction. Nothing wrong with leaders on the left wanting to push the party leftward, but true courage in this moment on the left and right is not taking on the establishment. That's easy. It's setting limits for your side and telling your followers what they don't want to hear. So I'm curious if you agree with that assessment that it has been difficult at times right now to say things that are at odds with one's own faction within the Democratic Party. Are there things that you agree with Malinowski that progressives may not want to hear that they should hear if they want to win elections, for example?
Catherine, first of all, the Democratic primary voters are much more unified than the media narrative. They're unified that we want single-payer health care and that the current health care system is broken. They're unified that we have an unfair and lopsided economy and that we actually need to have a wealth tax on billionaires. They're unified that we should never have had these foreign wars in Iraq, Iran, and that we should never have allowed for the bombing and genocide in Gaza, and that it is outrageous that we gave so much aid to Israel while our own communities are suffering and aren't having economic development. Those are the issues that are motivating Democratic primary voters around the country. And I would say that it's far more difficult to stand up to an establishment that basically has presided over the decline of the American dream than it is to do anything else. I mean, that's standing up to economic power, to corporate power, to special interests, to PACs. And that's what you see these candidates doing. Now, do I agree with every one of the tweets or past statements of these candidates? Of course not. I've always supported secure borders. I have, of course, support law enforcement and the enforcement of the law. And I will make my positions clear. But it is awfully hypocritical for Republicans who have given such a pass to all their members to go cherry pick the random statements of candidates as opposed to focusing on their central message.
To be clear, this was not a Republican. This was Tom Malinowski, who's your Democratic colleague in the House.
Well, I think that Tom's missing the bigger picture, which is that these candidates aren't winning because of idiosyncratic views that I would disagree with. They're winning because they're standing up for Medicare for all. They're standing up and calling out the genocide in Gaza. They're standing up and saying no aid to Israel. They're standing up and saying we're going to tax billionaires. They're standing up and saying that the American dream isn't working for young Americans. And people see them willing to fight for that and not kowtow to an establishment that has lost to Donald Trump twice and that has presided over the decline of the American dream. Look, the generation in charge is not the greatest generation. It's a failed generation of political leadership. By definition, they've given us 2 Trump terms and 80% of Americans think the American dream is dead. And what these candidates are showing is that the party wants a new direction. Now, I would be happy to answer any specific questions of where I stand on any errant tweet that a candidate has put out. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to be very clear where we stand. But people who are looking at those errant tweets are missing the organizing and why they won.